80 years of women in the workplace experiment has failed. Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. This is a lovely little video everyone has been waiting for over 80 years. Everyone who watches this video needs to click the thumbs up button because the conclusion of this video means that people in power needs to see it. If you can share the video on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, LinkedIn, please do so. Reddit especially. I know my subscribers don't understand how the internet works, but please tell them to click the thumbs up to pass on this valuable information to the next person. That's what thumbs up means. Thumbs up means this video is good to go. The next person gets to see it. So I need, if I can, 100% thumbs up. This study took on all first world and all second world country economies, their GDP, their labor participation, and finally, their expenditures by gender over the span of an entire lifetime for the past 80 years. Yes, they went over 80 years of numbers. This isn't an attack. This isn't an insult. These are numbers. Vast numbers. Watch the entire thing and make the decision for your family, because I want you to use this information as a practical tool in your life. I'm going to give you some conclusions, and I want you to sit down with your wife or girlfriend and say, here's the information of how this stuff actually works. Here's a peek into the system that you've always wanted to know. How are we going to attack life together? If this is a girlfriend and you're somewhat serious about it, you should have this conversation also. You will not hear this anywhere. Why? Because no one wants to admit this cold, hard, horrible truth. Let's begin. It is not clear at all if female presence in the economy benefits the economy. Feminization is at an all-time high, yet growth levels are at an all-time low, and debt levels are at an all-time high. South Korea, for example, uses few women, but economically is in a pretty good shape. For example, male scientists publish twice as many papers per capita as women, receive more citations than women, invent twice as many new things, and start twice as many new businesses as women per capita. Currently, 91% of new things in Sweden and 92% of new things in the US are invented by men. This is in modern times. A female STEM worker, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. A female STEM worker is 45% more likely to quit than a male STEM worker. And when we say quit, we don't mean go have a kid. We mean quit. Finished. I want you to sit there for a second, any women listening to me, and I want you to imagine a life where you went through high school, where you went through college and got a STEM degree, engineering, math, what have you. You went to go work for, Boeing Labs, and 7 years into the program, you quit and you never work again. Is that the future that you want? You have to make that decision now. You have to plan now. In other words, it makes no sense to have a female scientist, as they are actually a drag and a burden on the economy and society, since they are far less productive than men. Do you want me to quantify that statement? What that statement means is, out of 100% women, 45% stop working altogether and do not turn to work. They are no longer in the economy. I want to ask you people, all of you, everybody listening, what do you think that 45% do after they quit? And we're just scratching STEM. We're just scratching STEM workers. we haven't talked about government or anything else. We're going to get around to that. What do you think those women do after they quit forever working as a STEM worker? They do nothing. They do not return to work at all in any capacity. Why? Because they raised their families. More than likely, from the numbers that I've seen, more than likely they have married a man that makes as much, if not more, or if not double what they make, and they never return to work. They simply stay at home. Now, I want you to think about all of those women who do not get married. What do? They quit STEM field and don't return to work and do what? They collect government paychecks, social network paychecks. Over the course of their entire life, are they making money for the country? You do know how GDP works, right? So GDP is calculated about how much money you're making, and that contributes to the GDP. So if we take 1 million STEM workers and we calculate 100% of them working, that contributes to the GDP. Every single year, 45% of that million workers quit and never return. How does that affect the GDP? Negatively. So 55% have to try and cover the 45% that left, but hold on. The 45% that left are now drawing away from the economy because they're eating up dollars and resources from the economy. They're not only not working, they still have to live, they still have to eat, they still have to pay bills, they still have to buy clothes. Where does that money come from? That money comes from all of the rest of us. Same with doctors. A male doctor is 25% more productive than a female doctor. That's quantifiable. Several times less likely to quit his job. And although there are a lot of females in the medical field, most medical discoveries are made by men. Female doctors are causing large debts and inefficiency in Western medical systems. Again, a drag on society. That's quantifiable. We can look at the numbers and say female doctors are causing a large drag on the economy. Even today in modern Western societies, men pay 70% of taxes, while women are net liability for the government. They take more from the government than they pay in taxes. Let's take a look at that. 70% of taxes are paid by men, so we're saying 30% of taxes are paid by women, right? There's only two genders, there's only two options. 70% of taxes are paid by men. 30% are paid by women, but here's the kicker again. Women take more in taxes than men. Women use medical resources something like 20 times as much as men. Where's that money coming from? Is that coming from her? No. I dare say if they could get away with it, insurance companies would not give insurance to women. Why? Because they are the biggest expenditure for insurance. So currently we have both women who have negative birth rates. That means they're not replacing themselves. That means they are not having, each woman is not having a child, which replaces her, or worse, not having two children to replace her and the man, which means we're in a negative population growth. That's every category, every group. That means Black Americans, white Americans, Asian Americans, Latino Americans. Oh, you thought Latino Americans were in a positive growth rate? No, they're not. As soon as people set foot into the United States, they acclimate themselves to the way of life of the middle class. And what is the way of life of the middle class? the push towards making money to cover your expenses, have savings, and have retirement. This push to make that much money means that they do not have time for children. They don't have time to have children. They have all that much less time to take care of children, and even less time to actually raise children. You understand the word raise? That means when they are making decisions in life, they say we can't have children, or we'll have one, or we'll have two. Do you know just having 2 children is still a negative growth rate? Why? Because you have to cover other people too. People who can't have children, maybe they are barren, maybe they are impotent and they can't have children. So you have to cover yourself, your husband, and one more. That was the yuppie way in the 80s. And everything was fine in the 80s, growth-wise, population-wise. So it's funny that the politicians are asking the Latinos to come into the country. We're corrupting the Latinos. It's not positive growth rate in population. That's illegal and legal. I said I was going to talk about everything. It's a negative growth rate once you start talking about lifestyle choices. Are we going to be middle class? Yes, that's why we came here. Hopefully we'll be rich. Hopefully we'll be rich. And you'll have even less time for children. It's only the old money that seems to have time for children, the resources to raise children adequately, teach them, raise them, and women who are less productive than men. I would say that society wants women as second-rate men instead of first-rate women, and the results have been a massive failure, both economically and demographically. Because the powers that be, the corporations in the 1940s, got women to come out of the house because there were no men to do the jobs, got women to come out of the house, and hold on, when World War II was over, the women went back into the house, and the corporation said, no, that's not what we want. We want women to work. Why? Because that means we can pay men less. Do you all understand the numbers there? If you have twice as many people applying for the jobs, you have the luxury of paying less. So everybody's screaming about wages, how much your hourly wages are. Most of you shot yourselves in the foot, because now daddy no longer makes $60,000 a year. He now makes $30,000 a year. And they're trying to pass off the immigration and pay them less to then deflate wages even more. Do you understand that? Do you understand that they're trying to get the Latinos to come in here, and they're trying to pay the Latinos pennies on the dollar? And when you pay Latinos pennies on the dollar, the guy over the Latinos gets paid pennies on the dollar. And then the guy over him gets paid pennies on the dollar. What's the dollar? The dollar is the original amount of wages that you were paying people. Why? Because now you can have 3 times as many people applying for the same job. And now we have college that is affordable. I know people don't think that's right, but it is. Now you can take out loans without any credit history whatsoever. You can literally walk into a university and take out loans. You can even get credit cards without a credit history if you walk into a university. This is stuff that nobody's going to ever tell you about. What's the right thing to do? Do not give loans to people without any credit. Do not give credit cards to people without any credit. That just makes business sense, right? But here's the kicker. The U.S. government guarantees it. What does guarantee mean? That means that the U.S. government, by force, will force everybody to pay those loans. By force. With that kind of guarantee, you would be crazy not to hand out loans to every college student that walked across the administration building and signed away their life. I know women don't want to hear this, and I know some men don't want to hear this because it opens their eyes. It opens all of your eyes. The reason that I'm blacklisted, the reason that people don't want to see me, don't want to hear from me, and the reason that people don't want my channel to succeed is because I don't talk about social justice. I don't talk about feminism. I don't talk about men's rights. I talk about financials, and financials are the only things that actually matters in this country. And if you don't understand that, you need to wake up right now. That's the only thing that matters. Throw away this God stuff. You're throwing away your money anyway. It's going into the pockets of people that I'm sure you don't want. I'm sure you don't want that. It's rampant now. 75% of the population now is Christian in the United States. It is the biggest percentage in the history of the country. Why? Because the business of religion works. Because the supernatural is a mystery to regular humans. They don't want to be spiritual. They don't want to seek their own way. So they rely on somebody else. And it is religion, hold on, is worse than women in the workplace. Did you hear me? When you give your money to a church, it is the amount that you give to the church is negative on the economy. Why? Because there's zero tax return on it. There's zero implementation of that money into the economy at all whatsoever. So instead of zero, you have negative $10, negative $100, negative $1 million, however much people donate to churches. Negative. You are literally destroying the country by donating to the church. Those are the numbers that you really don't want to hear. Forget the woman stuff. That's the numbers you really don't want to hear. And some cultures, like the Black American culture, is 80% religious. And I mean real religious. They go to church all the time. Other groups don't go to church all the time. They've already done studies on that. They go once a month. They go twice a year, something like that. And that is rampant in all other groups. You want to tackle poverty in the Black community? Get rid of the churches. Shut down all the churches in 1 year. See what happens. Just 1 year. I'm not saying for forever. Just 1 year. See what happens. All of that money that they've been throwing away and negatively impacting in their communities would all of a sudden flourish and be reinvested into the community. Mark my word. If you took 50,000 Black people, moved into the desert of Nevada, created your own little community there, they'll be rich within years. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And did not include any church. Every single one of them would be rich within a few years. Now, why is that? Why is that, Shakaama? Well, first of all, Nevada has no state tax. Zero. You would only pay government tax. And if you're smart, you can write off most of that, even after this tax overhaul that just passed the first and 30 years. They would be rich, every single one of them. Now, here's the conversation that you have to have with your serious girlfriend or your wife. Are you going to work? If the answer is no, then we need to break up. By you not working, you're going to get sick. As a woman, you have 20 different things that could go wrong with you. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Love women to death. Wouldn't want to wish it on my worst enemy. 20 complete different areas that could go wrong. And they do go wrong. And the more that we modernize, the more we get sick. And the answer to the sickness costs a lot of money, and it does not help. Another thing that people don't want me to say. I need everybody to hit that thumbs up button. Every point that I've made affects you, all of you. And for those who want to be a stay-at-home mom or whatever, more power to you, but why don't you go to work and hire a nanny? If you want it like that, then why don't you do it the right way? Go to work, hire a nanny. Why? Because a nanny is then going to take care of things that the mother cannot. At hours the mother cannot. and you want a different lifestyle, right? You want the middle class lifestyle, right? Hire a nanny. Contribute even more to society than the next woman. That's the answer. Go to work, stay at work, hire a nanny. None of this was stay-at-home mom stuff. I don't agree with the feminists, but I'm talking pure numbers. These are the pure numbers. For your family, have 3 or 4 kids, hire a nanny, stay at work. Do your little maternity leave for about, a month? Have the dad do his paternity leave if the job offers that. If not, you need to go to better companies, work your way up to better companies. That's what you should be doing the entire time of your working life. None of this stay at the factory for 30 years. That's crazy. That's over anyway. It's coming back, but I believe it's still over. They're still modernizing all of these factory workers and all that sort of stuff. Sounds great on paper, but as soon as they possibly can, they're going to modernize, and you're going to be out on your keister anyway. You should be working your way up so that you can afford a nanny. And only at that time that you can afford a nanny should you be having children. You should not have children until such time as you can afford a nanny. Capiche? You all wanted to listen to the Internet Dad? Here's the Internet Dad telling you the truth. I need every single one of you to thumbs up this video. We need to overcome the robot. We need to overcome YouTube. YouTube itself has relinquished all control to the robot. The robot has little weaknesses, and those weaknesses are the thumbs up button. So everybody click that, everybody listening, because it affects you. Thank you for watching. Thank you all for the fantastic response. I'm still battling YouTube. You don't understand. Behind the scenes, I'm still battling YouTube for every single video. You want to know what's crazy? They also demonetize kids video. They demonetize game videos. They demonetize family videos. They demonetize everything. Why? I'll let you in on a little secret. So for the first 24 hours of every video, they demonetize it. Oh, I know some people say they didn't demonetize mine. Just wait. Maybe it's the on the 24th hour they demonetize it for a couple of hours. Anyway, what's happening? They get views into they want to stay number 1 or number 2 most viewed website so that they can go to advertisers and say, look, we're the most viewed website. They still make money off of my videos. I've caught them. Different devices have completely different things. Some of the devices, some of the different websites monetized every single time. So they get an advertiser who is going to pay no matter what over here on this website. I know they said advertisers are the problem. It's not advertisers. Here's a little secret. It's a government. It's agencies. And it's not just the United States. It's almost every country in the UN. They're the number 2 website in the world. That is power. They know it. They're not running it like a business. They're running it like an entity of the government. And yes, I know some people say, well, they're paid by the government. They're a government entity. And I agree, but they still have all of the clothing of a business. So on these other things, they have advertisements. I've caught them. Since I'm a web designer, I have like 50 different web browsers, devices, different ways of bringing up the internet. And I go and I check that every few days, and there's advertising on it. But it says there's no advertising. It can say that there's no advertising at all. So they're still making money off of my content. They're paying me pennies. Pennies. You all hear me? Pennies. But here's the thing, we can override it completely with thumbs up. There you go. For you other YouTubers, that's what you need to tell your subscribers too. And it's all about the subscribers. It's until we get out of the subscriber numbers that then the general public can see it. But for the very first few thousand, it's just subscribers. So the subscribers have to thumbs up until it hits about 5,000. Then the other robots, there's several different robots doing all this, right? So then they pass it off to the other robot because it triggers the, oh, this could be a viral video robot. And the viral video robot takes it. And then the viral video robot does whatever it does. Then it puts it out to the general public. It puts it on Facebook. It puts it on Twitter all by itself. It puts it on the front page of YouTube, in everybody's network feed, and everybody gets to see it. And it's on the recommended, on the sidebar, on the recommended videos, other recommended videos. That's what it does. But it all boils down to thumbnail of the video. Thank you so much. Also, I want to thank all of my Patreons. Patreon.com/Shakaama. You will be receiving all of the secret videos that I promised you. Thank you.
Till the finish line, and I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away